Good morning and many blessings from Reiko P. Blackheart, and welcome to my Sunday detox. Now, if you are just now joining in for the very first time, again, my name is Reiko P. Blackheart, and if you have been dishing it out with me for over a month, welcome back. I missed you guys. So, as you guys know, last week we were talking about how we were going to do for this month of January about mental, physical, and emotional health during the New Year, New Me trend because it is a brand new year. So it was just the best way to go ahead and bring it in. Last week, we talked about the physical health and how to start off something super small by just doing simple stretches. And then this week, we are going to be talking about mental health. Now, if you guys remember last week, I did say that mentally, physically, and emotionally, we are all linked with all three of those planes. In order to protect your energy, you just got to start with the simple steps. And what we're going to do today, like I said, mental health is a huge subject for me. So we're going to dive into my personal life on the mental level, as well as help find a journey for someone else. Now, my journey may not be the same for you guys, but if I can at least help one of you through your mental health journey, I would be happy, because then it will make my day. Like, again, I told you guys last week, I am not fully an expert, but this is what I've learned over the years that I have been going through my mental health journey. So first things first, let's go ahead and talk. Ladies and gentlemen, I am my 28, soon to be 29 years of existence. I have battled being physically, mentally, and emotionally and spiritually abused. And I had to battle my demons. And if anybody who knows me on a personal level knows that I am a minority. I am a grade A mutt, as I tell people. And in our community, we do not believe in seeking out mental health professions. And a lot of times that we deal with a lot of the stuff that we deal with is we pray about it, or we will just throw it under the rug because society does not want to see us as weak. So I have to tell people all the time, it is okay not to be okay. And if you need help, seek out the help. So there's nothing wrong with knowing that, okay, there's something wrong and I need help. There's nothing wrong with asking for help. That is the very first step, is at least acknowledging that you have something mentally wrong with you and that you need help. And a lot of people don't realize that a lot of mental health issues can stem from anywhere from poverty, from situational issues, from, like just something small or short term can turn your whole mental health 360. So I always have to tell people, you just got to know the signs and realize that mentally you may not be okay. And how you can start by telling is, are you more irritable lately? Are you getting 6 to 8 hours of sleep but not feeling like you're fully sleeping? You're physically sleeping, but your mind is still roaming and going down this path. Are you finding yourself to be more sad? Are you finding yourself constantly having negative thoughts or not finding anything worthwhile anymore? Maybe mentally you're just drained. So what you have to do is you have to first see the signs and acknowledge there's a problem. And it's going to be easier said than done because a lot of people don't see the problem. It's usually the people on the outside that see it before you do. So listen to when you hear people saying, hey, you're not acting like your usual self. They're doing it because they care. And if they didn't care, they would just let you continue on. So if somebody points it out, but you don't feel it or you don't see it and you feel like you're fine, listen to those who care because they're telling you, because they're noticing you going down a bad path. So there's one. And if you don't have people there, you find yourself starting to isolate yourself. So you don't want to do that either. And you want to make sure that you keep yourself in a good composed area and try to end up getting some sunlight, drinking water, stay hygiened, things of that nature. It's simple. Now, basically what I was saying a little earlier, we were going to dive into my own personal life. My 28 years, soon to be 29 years of existence, I was in a situation, I got put in a situation that mentally, physically, spiritually scarred me on all different planes. And I'm still to this day dealing with those demons, and it's not going to change anytime soon. But I was abused. It started off simple as a spiritual abuse and a emotional abuse. Basically, you telling someone you're a devil spawn, or basically breaking you down and kind of pulling your emotions, telling you that they love you one minute but then tearing you down the next, and making you feel like your existence was wrong. And then I started getting physically abused because the person who was abusing me was being abused, and in order for them to get their power back, they were taking their frustrations out on me because I was weaker, I was younger, and I was naive. And they basically broke me down to the point where I felt like if I ever left, I wouldn't survive. And I have to constantly tell myself that it's not my fault that I felt the way that I felt. For the longest, I kept beating myself up. And I kept staying in that situation because I had felt like if I left, no one would love me, nobody cared about me. Everything that was happening to me was my own doing. It, like, literally, she put a number on me. And it was to the point where, to this day, I still have these moments where I feel like I'm not good enough. I feel like I have to protect someone, and it's got me doing a lot of toxic trait behaviors for myself, where I'm dating like wrong people, or I'm beating myself up, or I'm pushing people away to save them the burden, because I was literally conditioned to believe that me existing was a burden. And I had to find my own way. And I had to find something worth living for. I had to find something that was good for me. And then for me, again, being a minority, we were conditioned to believe that we don't need therapy. We could just go to God. We can pray about it. But anybody who knows me knows that I'm a spiritualist, and it's because I've gone through hell, and I questioned religion for the longest, because I believe that if God was there to help me, I wouldn't have never been put in that situation. I would have never had to witness what I've witnessed, or gone through the things that I've gone through in my life. And even to this day, life is still throwing me curveballs, and I still have family members like, oh, you need to find religion and you need to pray. And they're not really telling me anything that's sound advice. So I didn't have a real good support system. I had to be my own support, because I felt like if I continue going to these people that told me to put all my faith into a spiritual deity or entity, as you would like, then I would be better. And I wasn't getting any better. So instead of me doing that, I had to break the stigma and seek medical profession, because I felt like the way I was living wasn't right. I felt as though that constantly feeling down, constantly going from having a slew of emotions to not feeling anything at all was not right. And when I didn't feel anything at all, I literally was just like, life would be so much better without me existing. And that obviously I should have not been here. And I had to seriously bring myself out of that mind state and get myself out, because I wanted to live. But the thought of me possibly committing to these thoughts that may possibly... So I knew that there were some issues involving me thinking and feeling the way that I was feeling. And I felt like, why are there so many people trained out in the world that can help me? And I had to break the stigma. I had to break the cycle that I was feeling like nothing else mattered. And I needed someone to talk to that wasn't my family, because I felt like I questioned, like, are they really telling me things that's going to help me? And I'm one of those people, like, I always question things. I don't just sit here and be okay with just hearing, oh, the sky's blue. And then I'm like, but why is it blue? Oh, why is it showing up to us blue? Like, I'm one of those people, I question a lot of things. So when they tell me just put your faith in God, I'm like, but why? If I should be putting my faith in him, why didn't he get me out of the situation I was in? It took me telling another parent that if I don't leave the situation, I'm going to end up pregnant, on drugs, in jail, or worse, dead. And surely enough, that was the thing I said at 15 years old. What I told my dad at 15, if I don't get out of here, this is what's going to happen to me. And my dad, to this day, because he was the way that he is, he doesn't believe, well, he does now, it took years, believe that, my other parent would let me be in that situation. And to this day, like, even now, she doesn't want to even remember it. And it's just one of those things where I've just accepted I lived this situation in my life for over 7 years. And for 7 years of my prime, that has affected me into my adulthood and the decisions that I make. So I understand the bounds of, punishment, and then I understand the bounds of what is abuse, because there is a major difference. And when you have people who are manipulators, or you have people who are delusional, or if they are not taking care of their own mental health and they put it on you, they can break you. Because I don't blame my mom for the things that happen anymore. I've realized that my mom has mental health issues, and because of fact of being she never got it treated until later in life, that, that's what caused that situation to happen. But I forgive her. I just never forgot the situation. And I will never forget the situation, because guess what? I forever have scars embedded in my mind, in my emotions, and physically. And I won't allow it to harm me. My scars is anxiety, bipolar depression with suicidal thoughts, and PTSD. Now, when I say bipolar depressions with suicidal thoughts, that does not mean I'm going to randomly sit at home and take a gun to my head. And I know this is going to be a trigger for some people. It just means that there's some days I just don't care whether I live or die. Like, I'm not as cautious those days. It's one of those days where I wake up and I feel like the world would be better off without me. Doesn't mean physically I'm going to go after and do this. It just means that there's some days I just feel like everybody that I care about, that I love, will be better off without, because I feel like I'm a burden. And that's just stems from my PTSD. And I'm going to forever have these problems. I'm going to have these issues. And I've learned to live with them. I've learned to see the signs before other people do. Like, I know when I'm starting to get more irritable and get more tired. And even with some of my medication I take because of my endometriosis, which that is now stemming a new PTSD, and having prior miscarriages is another situational PTSD situation. Sometimes with me taking medication on top of my medication, they do counterbalance each other. And then there's some days I'm very terrified that I may act out on something. But I bring myself back to reality, because it takes a lot of time to get yourself out of those mental and emotional states. So what I do is I start, like I said, with those physical attributes to make sure that I don't have any mental problems, where no matter how I'm feeling that day, I still get up, I still eat something, I still practice my hygiene, and I try to get some sunlight despite how I'm feeling. There's some days I'll just get up and, want to go for a drive. If the weather's permitted and is beautiful, I might go for a walk. I might walk up to the store versus driving my car. I might go to the beach because I live in Florida. Or I may decide I'm going to take myself out to eat. Or take myself to the movies if I'm not feeling well, if I'm not mentally there, and give myself time to recharge. And me being the person that I am, I'm one of those people, because I still kind of have that helper in me and I'm an empath. I sit here and I take more time to help other people than I do myself a lot of times. So those days that I need to recharge, I typically don't recharge all the way. And I've been learning to deal with that. So I know I don't skip out on the importance of rest anymore. I don't skip out on drinking water every single day. I don't try to skip out on the times that I sit here and, take my time and actually rest from other people's stuff. Like, I love helping my friends. That's never going to change. I'm always going to be there for them, even if I'm not completely 100% charged as a battery. Because that's how I am. I've always been that way. I've been that way my entire life. And that's the reason why I stayed in the situation versus leaving the situation sooner when I was younger. Because I felt like if I left, who else would protect them? And I kind of have that problem to this day. But me helping people, it brings me joy. And I mean like legit helping people. Those who need help themselves. And that's why I started my podcast, because that brings me joy. Knowing that I could possibly help somebody brings me so much joy and fulfillment, because we have such a world full of evil. I want to be a beacon of light. And this is where my legacy is going to stem from. So, like I said, with everything, I've been taking time. I've started meditating. I started stretching and working out, being around the right energy, the right vibes to help clear my mind, and have people around me that not only stimulate my mind and make me want to learn and make me want to think, I'm still helping other people. So that's my way of my mental health and helping me, is finding things that I enjoy in life, being around people who support me. And even those days that I'm low, making sure that I have people in my corner that are wanting to be there for me. I have siblings. I'm the oldest of 9, and one of my siblings to this day, she is constantly seeing when something's slightly off with me. And when she does, she's like, "You were down today, weren't you?" I was like, "Yeah." She's like, "That's why I gave you your space." But other than that, she'll come and be like, "Hey, let's watch a movie together, or let's watch anime, and then we'll just sit here and be goofy." And she just helps me, and without being weird. And I have a lot of friends who are the same way, where they have, depression and anxiety, and it's all right. We're not perfect. My slogan to this day is, I am perfectly imperfect, and I am okay with that. I'm going to have my baggage. Everybody's going to have their baggage. So mentally, if you accept that and you are at least working towards making yourself better mentally, that's all that really matters. Even if you can't do it without medication, or without going to get CBD, or, smoking, whatever helps you cope is the best thing. Because I know with a lot of minorities, that's how they cope. They live in a poverty can cause you PTSD. Your living situation can cause PTSD. If you are a father trying to get custody of your kids, but you have a baby mama who wants to hold your kid above your head, that can do a lot of stuff to you mentally. Manipulation can do a lot of stuff and can really do some damage to you mentally. So know where to fight and when not to fight, and know where to put your energy, because your mind is what works your entire body. And if your mind goes, guess what? Physically, you stop working. Emotionally, you stop working. You need to know that your mind is the most powerful thing in your body. I actually wrote a poem way back when talking about my body being my temple and my mind being my throne. Because honestly, at the end of the day, your throne is what causes everything to go and do everything that you need to do. And if you are allowing somebody to sit here and manipulate your mind and play around with your mind, guess what? You have allowed somebody to sit in your throne that should not be there. You should be the only person sitting in your mind and making your mind work for your body to work. And you have to know how to mentally stay healthy. And like I said, it starts with physical. Get up, stretch, meditate, drink water, practice going to the doctor. Even if you go once a year, try to make sure you utilize the time that you have to go see a doctor and a medical profession, because you never know. They are there to not only make sure you are well, but they are there to help prevent anything that could be dire. Do not be afraid to tell your doctor, I'm not okay. Because guess what? They are trained. And make sure that when you talk to people who are friends and, that are there for you, that they're really there for you. Weaving out the difference between who's really in your corner and who's not really in your corner. You have to make sure you take care of yourself physically as well as take care of yourself mentally. So if you got to take a day away from work to get yourself mentally right, do it. If you got to take a day mentally away from your significant other, do it. Because honestly, at the end of the day, there is some days that we need some time apart from our significant others. There's some days that we need time apart away from our family. Knowing when to say no to people and friends that are not really your friends. And know the difference between who's really there for you and who's temporary. You think of yourself as a tree. You got those people who are your roots. Those are the people, no matter what, you can sit here and cuss them out today and, make them upset, but they still gonna be there. They help build you and everything else like that. Those are the people keeping you grounded. Those are the people you want to run to when you mentally need some help or you need some time away. Then you got your branches. The branches, they're a little, if the wind shift a little bit, they might still be there, or it might be a little bit of tension. But then, after a while, they finally snap and they're no longer on your tree anymore. Now you lost that friend. That person is a friend, but they're not there to be with you forever. Then you got to know the difference with your leaves. Those are those associates, those acquaintance, those work relationships that you don't talk to them outside of work. Those are the ones once the wind blows just a little bit or the seasons change, now they falling off. Those people are so temporary that you don't really know whether or not you should confide in them. Not everybody is going to be your roots. Not everybody's going to be your branches. Not everybody's going to end up being leaves. You just got to know the difference. So do not confide in everybody, because some of those people will change their colors on you, and that's it. So take care of yourself enough to know who's really in your circle. And be careful not to push the wrong people out your circle, because a lot of people are not really here to end up hurting you. There's still a lot of people out there who are, though. But just take care of yourself enough to know the difference. Know when you are not feeling okay. And admit to yourself when you're not feeling okay. I know a lot of us want to sit here and have the S on our chest and be like, mentally we good and not listening to the signs. But physically, when your body is tired and run down, the first thing you will feel is headaches. Listen to them headaches. Because honestly, at the end of the day, if you got a headache, and depending on where it's located, it could tell you what's wrong with you. Certain ones at your temple could mean that your eyesights are going. If you got one that's at the lower part of the back of your head, that could be a tension headache. It could be a lot of things. Your brain is the nervous system of your entire body. So if you're not taking care of yourself mentally, if you are sitting here trying to push back, having anxieties and all this other stuff, you are going to cause yourself a long-term damage. When I say you're going to cause yourself long-term damage, I'm telling you like this. I have witnessed people have seizures in their early and mid-20s. I have witnessed people have strokes in their early and mid-20s. We are not covered because of how young we are. It's about how we manage our stress and how we manage everything else. And you have to listen. When you start having those headaches and think, oh, I could just pop a pill, be fine. No, something's wrong mentally. You need to take a break. Chill out. You are stressed. Make sure that other than that, listening to it, be mindful. And when it comes down to being mindful, you want to make sure that you, let me respond it this way. Mindfulness simply means being in the presence without thinking of the past or future, choosing what you respond to rather than get carried away with everything that appears in your mind and experience. Focus at one thing at a time. You don't want to sit here and put yourself in a predicament where you're constantly worrying about your past or constantly worrying about the future. Now, I always tell people that in order for you to find peace, you need to be living in the moment. If you constantly think of the future, you're going to cause yourself anxiety. If you constantly think about your past, you're going to get yourself depressed. So what you have to do is to live in the future. The biggest thing that I've been doing in my journey is living in the present, enjoying those moments with the people that surround me. Because yes, I'm going to have my moments where I'm anxious and I'm thinking about the future. I'm like, oh my God, next week I'm going to be moving. Oh snap, I have a photo shoot next week. Oh, there's an open mic on the 14th. What am I going to, perform? What if people don't like it? What if this? And you know what? I had to get myself out of that headspace. Like, you know what? I got to live in the moment. Whether they like it or they don't like it, is that going to change who I am? No, it's not. You have to fail in order to succeed. As long as you know that, have that mentality, you can live in the moment. How are you going to tackle it later? Don't worry about it. Don't worry about it until it comes. Live in those moments, because if you worry so much about your past and about your future, you're not going to be able to enjoy what's in front of you. So, like I said, take care of yourself and live in the moment. Embrace the moment. And I understand it's a lot harder now with us living in the tech age where the first thing we want to do is take pictures, but we're not really living in the moment. We're not really taking in the moment. We're taking a picture, which is, instead of us living in the moment, we're allowing our mobile device to live in the moment for us. And a lot of people don't think that way. So when I go to museums with my sister or go to different countries and stuff, that's what I do. I live in the moment. You want to spend time with people whose company you enjoy. People who are there to help motivate you. People who want to push you there and push you in the right direction. That even if those people that ask you, have you drunk water today? Those people who are in your significant other, your best friend, your siblings, those people that, notice things before you do. And they're doing it because they care about you. Those people that no matter what you're doing, you enjoy their company. You want to spend time with them. Even if you start feeling yourself being down, ask them, hey, what are you doing on Thursday? Me and my best friend, she has anxiety, and I promise you not. Me and her, we'll probably go once or twice a month that we'll hang out. And when we have free time, we link up. And the first thing we do is try to catch up with each other. And we wouldn't even do anything spectacular. We just sit here and watch cheesy romantic comedies, and we talk about how trash they are because they're not real. And that's all we do. That is our reboot for both of us, where we have so much calamity, but we can take these moments and just watch a romantic comedy or two and just enjoy each other's company. And that in itself is enough for me and her. And that's how we rekindle and recharge, because that's how we are. We rely on each other to recharge each other's battery. So like I said, it may not be the same for you guys, but that is what I do for me. Or I spend time with my sister because I live with my sister. She's also my manager. And she gets on my nerves, and she knows this, and I get on hers. But we love each other, and that's what siblings do. I also suggest, if that doesn't work, take yourself out. You can also pursue a hobby or new activity. When I don't have time, or if I'm starting to get stressed at work, I sit here and I take a deep breath and I exhale. And usually when I'm most stressed, I can create a poem. It never fails. I always create a poem, and I'm able to write something. I have so many poems in my phone, it's not even funny, that nobody has ever seen or heard or read or anything. But it's something that keeps me calm. And you can do that, or you can just, write what's going on in your head, because sometimes it's better to end up writing it down and then looking at it and be like, man, I don't even know why I was thinking about it. That's for me though. Now for you, it could be something different. It could be reading. It could be skydiving. It could be going to Top Golf and playing golf. It could be going to Dave & Buster's. It could be going to a hookah lounge once a week. Find a hobby or a new activity that you've always wanted to do and go do it. Now, if funds is one of those things that is the reason why you're stressed and mentally needing a break, because you're working, double overtime and not really sleeping, try to find something that is cost effective, or try to find something that is a group activity. I tell people all the time, you can do a lazy river one day and be super content. Find a place. If you're in Florida, go to a lazy river, pay the $20 and be on a lazy river for 3 hours away from people and, dealing with the stress. And speaking of which, manage your stress and deal with that. Like, a lot of people don't know how to manage their stress. A lot of the time, most people don't know they're stressed until they start getting migraines. Guess what? Your body will tell you when you're stressed. You start getting tired. You're getting irritable. Sometimes it may not even be a headache. A lot of people don't realize that that's what it is. Usually the first things first is always headaches. But a lot of times it could just be irritability. It could be a lot of other things. So with me, for managing my stress, when I was in a relationship before, me and my husband split up, I used to, come home, take a bath, and then be like, can you scratch my back? That's the simplest thing for me. Scratching my back is the best stress relief in the world. And then I'd be like, cool. And having that support system, it worked out. And it's cool. Now, another thing is, when you're starting to mentally break yourself down, you want to identify your strengths, your weaknesses, and you want to go ahead and understand your boundaries. You want to acknowledge your strength in a sense of, when you start beating yourself up, like, what is the purpose? Because you don't want to get yourself depressed. Because a lot of people will start beating themselves up when they start thinking of their weaknesses. Like, I didn't try hard enough. I didn't do this hard enough. Acknowledge what your strengths are, and knowing that you tried your best and that you're still a great person because you tried your best. And there's going to be another opportunity to showcase what you are good at. And accepting that you do have weaknesses is going to play better on your strengths, and realize that, okay, so these are my weaknesses, these are my strengths, but I can try to do a little bit better. And understanding that you have boundaries, do not go far and beyond what your boundaries are. Understand that the boundaries are there for a reason. Do not overexert yourself, because when you overexert yourself, you're physically draining yourself, you're mentally draining yourself, and then in most cases, you're emotionally draining yourself. Knowing when to say no and knowing when to go ahead and go a little further and beyond. Don't try to push yourself past the breaking point, because when you do, it will break you. And a lot of people don't realize that that's how you can put yourself in an early grave. And I don't want to see anybody in an early grave. I don't want to see anybody put themselves in a predicament where they're hurting themselves a lot. And what you want to do is make sure you ask for help when you're feeling overwhelmed. There's nothing wrong with asking for help and showing emotions, especially for my gentlemen. I know we want to sit here and be Superman in front of everybody, especially your girls. If you need help, ask for it. There's nothing wrong with asking for help. I've had to learn that the hard way. And I'm gonna be honest, that's something I've learned in the last year, dealing with a lot of the stuff going on in me and finding out I may never possibly have kids. I hit a breaking point in my mental state because it took me some years to get over the incident with my mom and overcome that. And then my miscarriages, it took me like self-realization, like, okay, I've had 2 miscarriages, and forgiving the people that, that's done me wrong in my life. And I mean, like, I've done all this in like the last 3 years. And for me to be 28, almost 29, that's not really a long time when you think about it, when you've been dealing with this since I was 7 years old. For me to finally overcome a lot of the major things, again, it's like I said, I've learned to start asking for help and learn that not everybody is here to be malicious, and not everybody is okay being pushed away when they want to help. Because I'm so used to people saying that they're going to be there and then turn around when I really need them, they're never there. I've just got into the habit of realizing that some people are really going to be there because they want to be there. So more or less, I've learned that when it's time for me to ask for help and just knowing who to ask for help from. So I just tell people, if you know that you are overwhelmed, if you're overstressed, don't be afraid to say, hey, I'm not feeling okay today. Can I talk to you? I don't want no judgment. Make sure there's somebody biased and somebody who's not, going to judge you. Even if it means going to a therapist, going to a family member that you can trust, or going to a best friend. There's nothing wrong with asking for help. And like I said, as long as you understand the major things there to take care of yourself, your hygiene, find something that is going to be good for you, along the lines of exposure to sunlight, making sure you drink and eat properly, make sure you do not skip on rest, spend time with people whose company you enjoy and that's going to bring you fulfillment. Knowing the difference between who's really in your corner and who's temporary and who's malicious. Pursue a hobby or a new activity. Meditate, breathe, practice breathing, because mentally that's what you need. Manage your stress. There's nothing wrong with finding out stress management. Go bowling, smoke a hookah, do what you have to do that's going to be stress management for you. Again, utilize those practitioners. Go seek a therapist if you need to go seek a therapist. If you need to find yourself in spiritual guidance, do that as well. There's nothing wrong with that, but just know the difference that yes, there is a level of spiritual guidance to get you through it mentally, but you also need to find guidance in yourself to make the right decision. Identify your strengths, weaknesses, and boundaries. It's okay to say no to overtime. It is okay to take a mental break if you need to take a mental break, if you need to take a day off, because your health is important. Managing your stress and knowing what your strengths are and what your weaknesses are, and telling yourself, it is all right, I tried my best today. You getting up and breathing and everything is enough. Ask for help when you're overwhelmed. Ladies and gentlemen, again, like I said, I am still very new at this myself. When I need help, I don't know who to go to. And I appreciate those who are in my life now that I know if I sit here and say I need you, they're going to be there. But they learned that for me, don't ever tell me that you're going to be there because I feel like they're lying to me. Again, that stems from my PTSD. It's a trigger for me. So I don't like when people tell me they're going to be there for me, because a lot of the times when they told me, they were never there. So I like action. I don't like people telling me. So, ladies and gentlemen, as long as you take those tips, I'm hoping this hits home for somebody. And knowing that you guys can make it is enough for me. Knowing that somebody's listening and can hear and possibly learn something, that's enough for me. I hope this helps. I hope somebody is there listening, and I just want you guys to keep protecting your energy. And I'm happy you guys got to listen to my story. So, ladies and gentlemen, again, that's it for this Sunday's episode. I hope you continue protecting your energy, and I will see you next week with us talking about protecting yourself emotionally.